You all please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Looks like we need a few more chairs.
No, there's quite a bunch.
Oh yeah, okay.
There's 6 right in this.
Yep. Can I get a roll call?
Ms. Smith?
Here.
Mr. Mutner?
Here.
Mr. Logan?
Here.
Mr. Esposito?
Here.
Supervisor Williams?
Here. You had to think about that one.
Oh no.
Need a hammer?
Yes, no, maybe.
No.
Can I get a motion on the reports?
Yes, I'd like to make a motion to accept the following reports. Code compliance, April 2025. Code enforcement, April 2025. Dog control officers, January through April 2025. ECI, April 2025. Putnam Lake Fire Department, first quarter report, January 1, 25 through March 31st, 2025. And Patterson Recreation for April 2025. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Can I get a,
Go ahead.
go ahead.
I'd like to make a motion to accept the minutes for the town board minutes for April 16th meeting, 2025. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I'd like to audit the bills. I'd like to make a motion to approve abstract number 8 dated May 2nd, 2025 in the amount of $305,631.72. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We do have some budget transfers this evening. This budget transfer is necessary to reallocate funds for the increased costs of the library insurance package for 25-26. We will be decreasing judgments and claims by $2,087. The contingent account contractual $13,000. Sewage treat dispense operations $2,025. Judgments and claims, tax certiorari, $70, parks contractual, $227, and water admin contractual, $11. We will be increasing the unallocated insurance contractual, $2,087, unallocated insurance contractual again, $13,000, unallocated insurance contractual by $2,025, unallocated insurance contractual $38, unallocated insurance contractual $227, unallocated insurance contractual $32, and lastly, unallocated insurance contractual $11. Okay, I'd like to make a motion to approve budget transfer request number 10, dated May 10th, 2025. Excuse me, May 14th, 2025. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Peter, lead us off.
Okay. This is not on the agenda, but this came in. It's a request to the Putnam Lake Park Board. Some person by the name of Brandon Tompkins, who is a resident, wants to hold a fishing tournament for residents of Putnam Lake on June 21st, 2025. He wants to charge $30 per boat, and which would be used for the jackpot winner for the biggest fish. Laura Russo has volunteered to attend and make sure all boats are registered with the town and that they have their fishing licenses. I think that the board has a few questions on this prior to...
Is anyone here for this tonight?
Oh, there we go.
Step up to the
Sorry.
mic. State your name and address for the record.
My name is Brandon Tompkins. I live at 5 Hammond Road, Putnam Lake.
So can you describe a little bit about what you're proposing to do?
So I want to hold a resident-only fishing tournament for some time in probably July. I was told 2 weeks ago that there was a proposal to say that every $5 out of the $30 buy-in will go to the Park and Rec, and I was told to come here and acknowledge that.
Is that what you worked out with the Park Advisory
Yes.
Board? Okay,
Through a phone call, yes.
And the balance of the $25 goes,
Goes-
all
yeah,
of it
goes
goes
to
to the
the-
winner,
yes.
nothing in the pot?
Correct.
Okay, and you're a resident, clearly. What about, we're gonna have to probably require insurance, right?
well,
Or,
it's a very good question. Typically, the people are out on the lake fishing anyway,
Yes.
so we may not need to have insurance in this
I
case.
wouldn't think
but-
that would be
So where are you going to stage this from?
it's going to start at the boathouse.
Okay, so,
That's where everybody can launch their boat if they're not registered, like to stay at the lake. Because I was told the sticker that the boats have on the boats that are allowed to stay around the lake, everything else has to be trailered in or hauled in. So it would start at the boathouse and end at the boathouse.
okay, well, if they're trailered in, they're all gonna have a sticker. They're all gonna be members of the park
Okay.
district, yes, okay.
okay. And how long is the event?
Roughly like 4.5 hours.
Okay.
Have you ever held one of these before?
First time.
Oh.
It's always gotta be a first.
Right.
And so it's not all Patterson residents, just Park District residents that you're looking?
Yes,
That's
just
right.
Putnam Lake alone. No, nothing from the other towns.
Do you anticipate a big turnout?
I originally said 15 people max,
Okay.
like 15 boats max. Usually two people per boat,
Oh, okay.
but a max of 15 because that's easy enough to adjust and tell people what to do.
So, how do you win?
You have
The
to
biggest fish.
Biggest fish?
biggest fish alone, either measure or weight, but weight's got to be through a digital scale, not a hand scale.
Not by species?
No.
Okay.
No, all species, just biggest in general. And I'm going to be supplying the scales and measuring tapes.
Okay.
I think it's a great idea. I'm a little disappointed it doesn't include all Patterson residents because I don't live in the district, but that's all right. Other than that,
Sure, exceptions
maybe
can
next
be made.
year. No, maybe next year.
Is this a resolution or just?
Just a motion.
I'd like to make a motion to approve Mr. Tompkins' fishing event for a date to be determined. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Before you walk away, you don't have a date, do you?
It was supposed to be June 28th, but we're getting too close to that window.
Okay.
So I'm going to have to push it a couple weeks.
All right,
So sometime in July.
okay.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Okay.
That's one.
Next, I'd like to introduce a resolution to hire a part-time worker for the Putnam Lake District. That is Margarito Baronez, sorry, I'm going to butcher it, Juarez, as a part-time maintenance worker for Putnam Lake District at the rate of $20 per hour. I met with him on May 2nd at the Park Board District's monthly meeting. He seems like an energetic guy. He's ready to do the work. And this would be just a part-time position to get the lakes prepared to be open. And also when the current caretaker has vacation, he's going to fill in. So I'd like to make a motion that we authorize this. No, this is not a resolution. Make a motion.
No, it is.
Oh, it is.
It's a resolution.
I'd like to approve the resolution and ask that it be read into the minutes, written into the record.
Entered into the record as though
entered into the
read.
record if there's no objections. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Next, Brewster football is having a possible issue, the youth football, and I believe they're here tonight so they can answer a couple questions that we may have. I believe there's 4 teams. You can step up to the mic and just say your name and your address.
Good evening, Town of Patterson Board. My name is Ronald Reed, and to my right is Jeffrey Tepper. So I am currently a Brewster High School coach who was tapped last year to try and head up the new Brewster Southeast Youth Tackle Football Program, which has been transitioning from the Town of Southeast Rec. For many years, the Town of Southeast Rec ran the Brewster Youth Football Tackle, and over the last 3 or 4 years, they said that they thought it was best that a community group ran ran the league, ran the teams. So what I've seen over the last few years is that we don't have our own facility as far as teams, as far as putting teams on turf or grass or even areas for the kids to practice for clinics. So we've been meeting since last November, and we've been trying to figure this thing out. Imagine taking something over where there are no financial resources, but it's kind of like you've been tapped with a bunch of other good people to try to make this thing happen. And so one of the biggest things that we'd like to accomplish before we even start the season is to be able to have some safe, some clinics that will promote safety. We want to make sure that we know that there's a lot of parents and community members who feel that football can be quite reckless and unsafe at times, and we feel that through these clinics and practices we might be able to promote safety to all. We have started the process of becoming a 501c3 organization, just because we think down the line that'd be the vision, and that'd be something that'd be beneficial to the youth in the community. And so we're here to ask, we went to a Putnam Lake Park district meeting and presented also, and we're here to ask your gracious help in us being able to have this clinic at our practices.
Thank you. So I'd like to approve and act on the Park Board's recommendation that we approve the use of the field for the football youth program. We have the understanding that if there's any damage to the field, that'll be corrected by you guys.
Correct.
And I think we should go ahead and let that go. Make a motion to approve this recommendation.
Second.
Discussion.
Okay.
Yeah.
You would need to provide the town of Patterson with insurance naming us as additionally insured. Can you do that?
Yes.
Okay. And I think we should do this. When are you holding the clinics?
So we started our registration. So right now that's to be determined at this point. I see this happening, I would say sometime in June or July.
Okay.
Yeah.
So would it be going past August?
No,
Okay.
we don't anticipate that.
All right. So I think we should set a time limit on this, not to go past October 30th. And we do this as a trial. And then next year, if you want to come back again and use the field again, we can have a further discussion about this.
Sure.
If I understand it correctly, though, you guys wanted the option during the season that because of the construction at Brewster High School, or Brewster campus,
Right.
they may have limited fields, so they wanted to hold practice there in the evenings, possibly.
Okay.
Brewster Central Schools has been really...
Well, that'd be after August, is my point.
Jeff, go ahead.
Brewster Central Schools has been really great with football program, and we've almost never had to worry about fields. With the construction going on over at Brewster High School, we may end up, being in a tight spot. So one of the things we talked to the rec board about was, because we'd like to hold the clinics, but during the season,
Have the
if
option.
we were to kind of get in a precarious situation where we need one team to go to another field, would one of the fields be available for us to send that one or two teams over if we get caught? Obviously, we'd love to have everything in one center space in high school as in the past. It's just great for the programs. It's great for we anticipate having an AED at each field. So not only that, but we're changing the Brewster Youth Football program from one coach on every team being CPR AED certified. Our group is now, we're demanding that we're going to teach and certify every coach to be CPR AED certified. So we want all those teams to be practicing on that one field, so that there's one $1,500 AED over there, as opposed to multiple. But if we got stuck because of the construction going on, would that field be available to us out of like a last recourse?
So I think the general sentiment is yes, but again, I just want to start this off as a pilot program. We haven't done this before. There could be other issues that we're not seeing right now, which is why I wanted to put a time limit on it. October 30th, 31st would do?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. The same resolution, same motion, but there would be a time limit and it would end October 31st.
Fine.
So
And the
moved.
insurance.
Second.
And the insurance.
And the insurance, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Good luck, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Go Bears.
Veterans Memorial Park, a vacancy became available because of a resignation last month. I'd like to approve a resolution, or introduce a resolution appointing Alexandra Jofina Josephina Mercado, thank you. We interviewed her right before this meeting. I think the whole board was impressed with her credentials and that we'd like her to be a part of that Veterans Memorial Park Board. So I ask that this resolution be entered into the minutes as though read. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. WWTP blowers. Recently, the town board approved purchase of air filters and for our blowers and the wastewater treatment plant from Arizon Corporation. The supplier sent the quote, approved the total of $1,400.44 and forgot to include shipping. Please approve. I'd like to make a motion that we approve the additional shipping cost of $52.41. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Sean?
Okay, first item we have, actually, first two items come from our highway department. These are items that we put out to bid. They're not big ticket items, but the first is 2 Great All buckets that went to, or the high bidder was Lou Garofano for an amount of $42, and that essentially recommends, the highway department recommends rejecting the bid, suggests a counteroffer of $200. So I'll make a motion that we approve the resolution to allow this counteroffer, and then if accepted, to allow this sale to occur for the 2 Great All buckets. So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
And the next item was a 6-burner gas stove with a bidder, Milton Lemus, who placed a bid of $46. Again, we're not exactly getting rich off these items, but they are, rather than just recycling, they will go to some good
We
use.
don't have to pay to get rid of it.
Yeah, we don't have to pay to get rid of them, that's true. And so make a motion to, without objection, to ask that this resolution be entered into the record as though read for the sale of this Vulcan 6-burner stove. So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye. Good riddance.
We don't have
She already has it.
All right. Okay, next item is one of the great things that we get to do as a town board every year in coordination with our great Assemblyman Matt Slater, who holds the Women of Distinction honor every year. In fact, one of our previous honorees is sitting right up front. This year, the town board was very honored to recommend Rachel Roberts. Of course, she is in attendance, and we presented her with a proclamation that reads, whereas Rachel Roberts has shown her outstanding dedication and commitment to our community through the many organizations and activities that she volunteers with, and whereas Rachel Roberts is a member of the Patterson Fire Department, where she volunteers in multiple roles as an EMT for the fire police and as treasurer to the department, and whereas Rachel Roberts has been instrumental in fighting against food insecurity and building stronger community ties through co-founding the Patterson Community Church's Community Kitchen, and whereas Rachel Roberts is an active member of the Patterson Rotary, where she frequently volunteers for their various community projects, and whereas the town of Patterson has been greatly enhanced by her commitment and dedication to our community, And whereas the town board of the town of Patterson wishes to honor Rachel Roberts and to thank her for her dedicated service to the town of Patterson and its residents, now therefore be it resolved that the town board of the town of Patterson hereby issues this proclamation on May 10th, 2025 to Rachel Roberts in recognition of her outstanding service to our community, and we extend our appreciation and gratitude for her service and dedication toward making our town a better community. Rachel, I know you're hiding back there, but thank you so much.
Thank you, Rachel.
It is people like you that make the town of Patterson such a wonderful place to live. Thank you. I really
Absolutely.
appreciate
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Memorial Day is fast approaching, less than 2 weeks. First, the easy one, the veterans, the VFW in Putnam Lake, they always have their ceremony. It's at 10 a.m. at the monument. It's a wonderful ceremony, and I hope to see you all there. In the past, Patterson has had a second ceremony here on this side of town starting at 1 o'clock, where we would line up either on Maple Avenue or here at the town hall with everybody that wanted to march down Main Street. And I've been talking with the American Legion Hall, and it has been the decision this year that we're not going to do the parade, that we are just going to do, and I say it's been the decision, but it's open for discussion, that we are just going to go down to the monument at 1 o'clock and have a ceremony down there, which I believe this year we're going to try to get the American Legion to run the ceremony. In the past, the VFW has been gracious enough to come over and help us all with that.
They will.
So you're going to twist their arm again? Okay. You're on the record.
That's fine.
Am I supposed to get the flowers? Red, white, and blue?
If the VFW does the service, yes.
All right, well, you've got to let me know if I should get the flowers.
You just have to let me know if the American Legion is doing it. If they're not, the VFW will do it.
They are not doing the red, white, and blue flowers. They have a different ceremony.
But are they doing a ceremony?
They said they would do a ceremony, yes.
So I will make sure that the VFW is there just in case.
Okay, great. So, does anybody have any questions about doing it that way? Any concerns? Anyone in the audience?
Pick a good time and
Well, 1 p.m.?
1 p.m. at the
Yeah.
monument.
yeah,
That sounds good.
that's great.
All right, moving right on. We received a notice from the Putnam County that they have 2 applications for the agricultural district that have property in the town of Patterson. They asked for our, opinion, recommendation if there were any violations. I put this letter together. The town board has reviewed it. I hope you have all reviewed it.
Yeah.
I will say this, the 2 properties who are looking to go into the ag district this year that have land in the town of Patterson are Lobster Hill Farms, and I've given them a favorable recommendation. The board, if they vote on this, give them a favorable recommendation. And the other one is a property on Tammany Hall Road. This property has been a problem in the past, and the recommendation is that they not be added to the agricultural district. In addition, one of the concerns is that with a recent lawsuit, that the criteria that was being used to evaluate whether a farm was appropriate to go into the ag district or not has been kind of cast aside. And I was hoping that the county legislature would step up and come up with new criteria before they started moving forward, putting farms in the ag district, because with no criteria, basically anybody could go in. And not everybody is deserving, in my opinion, of being in the ag district. I know opinions vary. But the letter going over also provides suggested criteria for what should be considered whether a farm is in the ag district. And understand this, that the ag district is meant to protect large commercial farms, not somebody who wants to sit on a corner and sell eggs. Should cover everything. So that is about it for what is in the letter that's going over. Does any board member have any questions on this?
Actually, just, I know you said there was problems in the past, maybe you could elaborate a little bit on the problems that we did have in the past.
There's always been friction between the town and this property owner with the accessory dwelling he has on the property, with clearing within the wetlands, with bringing fill onto the site. I know there have been other problems over there when he has tried to have animals on the property and they have run loose in the neighborhood. I think some of the neighbors are here. I'm hoping to hear from some of them. So there have been issues. Okay? We're voting on. I'm just letting, we're not voting on whether they're included yet.
That's not our vote.
That's not our
It's not
vote.
our
That's
vote.
not our
So
decision.
it's just a letter. It's not.
We're not, okay. Okay?
Recommendation.
Anybody here want to have anything to say about this issue? George?
George Disrow, Tammany Hall Road. I did read the statement that the town board put out regarding agricultural districts. I had two questions that concerned me after I read that. One was, once a property is designated as an agricultural district, surrounding properties then have no recourse, as I read it, as to what their use is, and in terms of purchasing it, they wouldn't have any say into what that person is. In other words, once it's been designated, there's nothing that the surrounding properties can do. That was my first question, if that makes sense to you. The second question that I had was, later on in your statement, it talked about marijuana, cannabis, and being grown indoors with a commercial building, and then they would be able to sell it. And my thought was, wouldn't that change the zoning to a business rather than residential farming? Do those questions, am I making sense here?
First one is, under ag law, the town cannot have any law that unreasonably restricts a farm operation. Now, the Department of Agriculture, who now takes jurisdiction over this, takes a very liberal view about what is considered a legitimate farm operation. So for the most part, if somebody is in the ag district, the town is pretty much hands off. The second part of that is that under ag law, an adjacent or individual property owner cannot bring a public nuisance lawsuit against a farm in the ag district. So your hands are somewhat tied, as long as it's a legitimate farm operation. So the third part, with the marijuana, in December of this year, the state legislature declared marijuana or cannabis a legitimate farm crop. So that takes it out of the realm of being something the town can control if it's on a piece of property in the ag district. And I just want to clarify my position. I recognize that you can grow marijuana outside as well as indoors, but there's a difference. There's a difference in THC value of marijuana grown indoors. It's much higher content. So typically, marijuana growers are going to be looking for places inside. That doesn't mean you can't grow it outside. But if you do grow it outside, the odor is horrific.
But if they then, could they then sell it from their farming, from their,
That is yet
Property.
to be decided by the Department of Ag, but the ag law is fairly clear that you can set up a farm stand and sell farm products roadside.
So the issues I think that the supervisors, there's licensing requirements through New York State for cannabis growth and cannabis sales that are still really being worked out because the legislation is very new. Currently, even as a licensing operation, the retail sale on site wouldn't be permitted within the count of Patterson, since Patterson opted out to allow retail sales. But that is, like I said, all new legislation, and we don't know how the future that will be worked out. We don't know what the licensing requirements and what what areas will be permitted to be licensed and which areas will not be licensed in the future. So it is still all a new avenue of law.
Thank you.
I don't necessarily agree with that opinion, by the way. Josh?
John Regan, Tammany Hall as well. The question I have is, how does a business like farming, with regard to pesticides and other, farming, products and things that they use, impact not only wetlands but watershed property, which is a significant part of that property as well?
I'm not exactly sure how to respond to that, John, other than to say that the use of pesticides and herbicides is a typical farm practice.
With wetlands and watershed property on the same property?
On land using in agricultural production in an agricultural district, yeah. Doesn't matter.
All right, so, all right, I was just curious, because that seems to be, a problem these days with, regards to watershed, and everyone's, concern about safety, and it just seems that a little bit, careless. Anyway, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Yeah, I have a question. Now, you mentioned the concerns that we've had before. We're his neighbor, and I spoke to you earlier today, Rich, in regards to the animals. He's had animals that have gotten out, that have come on our property. His latest thing was with these very large cows that he had that were not very well taken care of. That was short-lived. He did get rid of them. But is there going to be a limit as to the numbers of animals he can have? Who determines that? Who do we need to talk to?
Department of State. Department of Agriculture.
Okay. And as my husband mentioned, what about people's wells? We all have, well water. So are we going to have to deal with contamination from not only animals, but pesticides and other possible chemicals? There's children who live in the neighborhood.
I would hope that if you're conducting legitimate farm practices, that you're doing so with an eye on the environment that you're working in. I can't promise you that, there isn't going to be issues, but, most farmers are not going to pollute the groundwater.
Yeah, well, we're not dealing with most farmers. We've been living next to him for 25 years, so, and it's 15 acres. It's not 200 acres. So the size is a major concern. I have so many questions.
Understood.
So, yeah, I
Well-
think I will need to get in touch with the agricultural department.
Well, as I said, this starts with the Putnam County Legislature, and, as I said to you earlier, I would encourage you to, express your support, your concerns, whatever your issues are, to the Putnam County Legislature,
Okay.
who makes the ultimate decision about whether this property is going to be in the Ag District or not.
Okay, thank you.
Good evening. My name is Peter Rowley. I live at 177 Tammany Hall Road. It's the property that adjoins the property we're speaking about. I've been here since 2002. My question is with the application that was submitted to Patterson Town Hall, I understand that the three boards that are ultimately make the decision are with the county. It's Agricultural District, Water and Soil, and then the legislature. Is there any type of business plan that was submitted as to, because farming is a little vague and it can incorporate a lot of different things. So my question is, just at the outset of this, what's the business plan? And if you did submit something that's specific, if not, do you happen to know if it is approved, if there's any kind of impact studies that are done? Is there traffic, if he's gonna have commercial, if he's gonna do things commercially, we're selling goods, if there's a traffic study, is there impact study environmentally, just things like that. But if my primary question is, was there a business plan submitted with the original application?
Within the application, there were items that he intends to do on the property should he be entered into the ag district, but there was no specific business plan. The difference between the two applications is Lobster Hill Farms submitted a very detailed business plan, explaining what they were going to do and how they were going to do it. This one did not, and no, there is typical not any studies done on farms in the ag district.
Okay. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Michael Guerrero, 186 Tammany Hall Road. I live directly across the street from him, and I just want to know, like, what determines, like, how, like, can I apply to be a farm? Like, what determines who could apply to be a farm? Because, like you just said, I don't know anything about Lobster Hill or anything like that, but that seems like it's a legit farm. Like, they're selling stuff. Like, this guy has a dirt driveway. Is it like a public place? Because a farm considered is like a public place now, right? So what about like people going there? Is he gonna have to pave his driveway? Is he gonna have to shovel his driveway for the first time in about 30 years? Is he gonna have to, like, is there gonna be restrooms, parking? Where are people gonna park? Like, and like he said, like what Pete said about traffic, the last thing I heard was that he's gonna clear all the trees. And then my other question is, he already got denied for a solar panel farm. If he got put into the agricultural district, is he allowed to now tell the town just to go scratch and put up a solar panel farm?
If the Department of Ag determines that that is a legitimate ancillary practice to the farming operation on the site, then the town would not have anything to say about it.
So that's a yes.
And again, when you're in the ag district, the town's hands are tied. There's very little that we can do about enforcing.
So there's
some of our
no
codes.
regulation on who could ask to be put into the agriculture? Like, I could say I want to sell eggs and get put into it?
So, frankly, there were criteria that were adopted many years ago. I was not aware that there were actually criteria. I've taken a look at the criteria. The criteria was somewhat arbitrary, and really, I'm not exactly sure what they were trying to evaluate with that criteria. It was reviewed by a Supreme Court judge who basically said the same thing, that the criteria was not appropriate. That doesn't mean there shouldn't be criteria, but as of right now, I don't know that there are any sensible criteria being used to evaluate who's going in the ag district and who's not. One of the things this letter does is encourage the legislature to come up with a new set of criteria that are looking to do what is supposed to be done as far as the agricultural district in Putnam County.
Yeah. I mean, I understand, like, real farming, but this guy's not a farmer. I've never seen him do anything outside other than let his cows out into the middle of the street to get almost run over by, like, there's been, like, John was saying, there was cows in the middle of the street, sheep, chicken, ducks, donkeys, everything. He could care less about any animal. It's not, like, if you talk to a real farmer and described what he's planning on doing or anything he's doing, they would never consider him a farmer or that he should be even on the same level as a farmer. Like, the guy's, I think he's pushing 80 years old, and I don't see him outside ever doing farming, and I live right across the street from him. The guy is he's a shyster. That's the only thing. But I hope you guys push for a no, and I hope the county pushes for a no also. It's absurd. What this guy thinks he could get away with is ridiculous.
So, Rich, is there any criteria or guidelines or inspections done to make sure that the animals are being treated, properly? Also, if they're going in the road, it's a safety issue with the vehicles
Certainly.
on the road. Someone could end up getting killed hitting a cow, honestly. Are there inspections to make sure that they're being fed properly,
I don't-
maintained, corralled properly?
Well, again, I don't know. There are not inspections done by the town. It would fall likely to the Department of Agriculture to make any inspections, but I don't know if they do. I don't know what the process of procedure is.
So I'm just wondering, based on a complaint, if one of the animals is, you know, or all of the animals are out in the middle of the road, and, you know, where does the residents, who do they call?
You know, I
to,
don't think
you
it
know-
precludes the ASPCA from getting involved if it was animals not being treated humanely or something. There's got to still be
So I do
some
know
oversight.
that I was involved in a complaint about a resident with trapping birds. And I did actually speak with them, and they did have to get some wildlife involved, so, you know. don't
I
know.
would imagine the USDA too reviews if animals are unsafe or unhealthy and they're going into the especially if they're going into the meat market, of course.
Yeah.
That might not deal with animals in the road, but certainly
Yeah.
deals with health conditions.
So, the other question I have is, I hear now, you know, by your own admission, you are not in approving this, is that correct?
We're not. We're
Okay.
just making a recommendation over.
Okay. So
We don't have the ability to approve it
I understand
or
that. So you're
decline
making a
it.
recommendation to not
Deny.
allow, is that correct? Okay. So I got what we can't do, you hear that, but what can the town do? What can you do to help support the county legislation to not favor that, is that correct? Is that
Well, I
what
think
we're
this
looking to do?
letter is a great first step in putting in writing what the town's position is and their ask
Okay,
of
I
our
guess because I don't have,
representatives.
do we as the town people have access to that letter? Or no?
Sure.
Yeah.
You can
Yes.
actually contact the town clerk. There's a FOIL request that is required, and we'll email you copies of the letter.
Oh, that'd be great, thank you. The other question I have is, what would be a reasonable timeline to expect in something like this?
To
A
inspect.
timeline, what would I expect, a timeline? For
Of what?
something like this to
When
come to
would it be
fruition,
approved
to
or
have a
not
decision, yes or no, that kind of thing. What is a reasonable timeline?
I don't know. You would have to contact the county legislative office to get that answer.
They do have a timeline of events on their website, Soil and Water for Ag District, for how the Ag District process works. I don't know that timeline is entirely accurate, but it'll give you a sense of what they strive for timeline-wise.
Okay, thank you so much.
You know, I just want to make another comment that, you know, if we have something like this, it doesn't do a lot for the people who have these beautiful farms in the area and utilizing the property the right way. So, you know, it gives it a bad, you know, like a bad name.
Yeah.
Laura Russo, 89 Slater Road. I am the current legislator for Patterson, or part of it. And I just want to say that I do support the town's decision with Lobster Hill Farm. They're an outstanding farm. And I do not support the farm on Tammany Hill Road. So
Thank you.
I just want to let everybody know how I feel and how I'll be voting.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Laura.
Sir?
Nobody like really clarified, but so
Name,
what's the
so, I'm sorry, we ask you to do your name every
Oh,
time
every
simply
time? Sorry.
because as she's doing the minutes,
Sorry.
she's not gonna know.
Michael Guerrero, 186 Tammany Hall Road. I just wanted to clarify, like, so what's the next steps? Do you send this letter to the county?
Legislate, yeah.
What's our next steps? Of like, how do we
Well, I
tell the
get,
county like we don't want this? And is there like meetings like tonight to go to, or should we get a petition to sign? Or like, what's our
I think
next
if you have
steps
something
to
you want to express, you should put it in writing and send it to the legislature.
send it, like just a,
To the
like they
entire
don't have a
legislature.
specific meeting like this?
no, they do have specific meetings. They have a slightly different method of how things work through their process. They generally have committee meetings. They do post their agendas in advance, so you need to watch it. But you can go to the committee meeting, and usually they will allow you to, well, I'm not even going to say, well, they will, I'm getting the nod in the back that they will allow you to speak at the committee meeting. Typically not at the full legislature at this point, though that may change, who knows?
But those meetings are like where we could go and express and
Yeah.
get more
You-
neighbors to show up to.
Yes.
to- get it turned down.
Putnam County Office Building, usually room 318.
Yeah.
It's also important that you get some written documentation from the neighbors that are
Yeah, like
opposed
either
to
a
it.
petition or like just written like letters, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Hey, Rich, just a question. Someone in the public wants to be heard on this later or now? Is that-
We can do it. We can do it now. If whoever wishes to ask a question, if you could unmute and state your name and address for the record.
Yeah, hi. Sorry. My name is Ludwig Vlitzis, 225 Tammany Hall Road. And I would like to just make a statement that, first off, Tammany Hall Road is an extremely small two-way street. It is windy, it is narrow. There are very narrow parts. How do you have an agricultural farm that will, I would imagine, have deliveries, other tractor trailers and things like that on that little road? Another point, it is an R4 residential neighborhood. People have invested in this residential neighborhood in order to have their homes in a nice community. Here you are adding a business, a farm. Everybody loves farms, but there are zone farm areas. Now you're having a 15-acre farm that's going to clear cut the area. And what does that do for their neighbors? People are brought up about chemicals. There's a whole lot of other issues that is the county considering any of these other factors in terms of we're right off of 84. It's a windy, narrow street that in the midst of all these residential homes is going to have this tiny, quote unquote, farm. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else joining us by Zoom who wishes to make any comment at this time? Okay. I'd like to make a... Sure. Why don't you approach the mic?
It's not made for tall people. My name, right? Brett Yaris.
I'm sorry, did you say Brett Yaris?
I did.
Oh.
Yeah.
Our attorney sent you a letter, did they not? Are you here to apologize, sir?
No, I think you got my response pretty loud and clear. But no,
Okay,
it's
so
not.
then you'll get our response.
I should hope so.
Good.
But in terms of, just so everyone knows what he's talking about, I guess, back in March I had put out a newsletter regarding the Ag District and a specific ranch, the one that actually won their lawsuit. And I was given a letter that threatened legal action against me because of the things that were told to me that I reported in that letter. And then I responded that the First Amendment still exists, and I guess there will be a response to that. So, but in regards to this conversation, which is why I was getting up to speak, because there's a lot of questions of what you guys can do and what the public can do. You don't have to wait for the county legislative vote. You don't even have to wait for them to have a committee meeting, because that will be an ongoing process. The agricultural board is also a public meeting, and that's going to be the first step in reviewing any applications. And so you can go to the ag board meeting and request when those ag board meetings are and express your opinions there about any of the farms or ranches. Then there's also the physical services committee. That's the committee at the county level that will most likely take a look at this. You can go to those meetings, they're public. And then, incorrectly was stated before, but at the full legislative meeting, which happens once a month, there is public comment. It just is only after the vote has already been taken at the end. So those are all the different options at the county level. You don't have to wait for a committee meeting or anything like that. You can go to the ag board meeting. They're going to have the first vote on this. If it's approved by the ag board, they'll then make their own recommendation to the county legislature. So this is not the recommendation that the county legislature is going to review. They're going to review the Ag Board's recommendation. So it's the Ag Board that you're going to want to speak to next. There's a few steps before it gets to the legislature, probably who the letter should have been written to in the first place. So, thank you.
Well, this letter that we're doing is going to the legislature, so I'm sure they're going to review that as well. Anyone else? I'd like to make a motion to authorize the letter on the applications for the agricultural district to be sent to the Putnam County Legislature. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. More fun. Mr. Bumgarner is here tonight, I believe, with the new property owner. We have a situation in Patterson in Putnam Lake on 2 Newburgh Road. I provided the board with a short history. So the short of it is, there was a piece of property, there were 2 pieces of property side by side in 1996. They received a building permit to construct a garage which straddled the 2 properties. The property owner then sold the property to a new individual who then sold one of the lots to a third individual. We now have an illegal subdivision out there. The bank is foreclosed on one of the properties, and
Now recently sold it.
recently sold, and the new owner cannot move forward to secure the house and put a new roof on to protect the condition of the house because of the violations of the illegal subdivision, and the fact that the garage was turned into an apartment illegally. And so they're looking for some sort, well, they can't move forward with getting a building permit to do the roof because of the existing violations. And so Mr. Bumgarner is here tonight to address the board to ask for a pathway out of this.
Just so I'm clear, Mr. Bumgarner, your client just bought the garage lot?
No.
They bought the house lot?
He bought he purchased the property in January of 2025.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Which property?
Let me just step back for a second. Craig Baumgartner,
Yeah,
I'm an
sorry.
attorney with offices in Kent, New York. My client, Mr. Callahan, is with me here this evening, sitting in the front row. He bought this property in January of 2025 from Wells Fargo. They had taken it back in a foreclosure. The property contains a single-family residence. It also contains a garage. A small portion of that garage encroaches on the next-door neighbor's property. Okay.
Or, I mean, just to be clear, the property line doesn't go through the building? Or
The
does it?
property line goes through the garage,
Okay.
a small portion of it.
Okay. So the majority of the garage is on his property?
Correct.
Okay.
So unfortunately, with these types of transactions, when you're buying from a bank who forecloses, it's completely as is, where is deal. They did not make any representations regarding the status of the municipals, the condition of the property, anything of that nature. So what happened was, when he closed, there was a tarp on the roof, and he came to town hall seeking a building permit. With the very wet spring that we've been having, the water's just pouring into this residence, and he approached the building inspector to obtain a building permit so that he can, button up that structure. And the building inspector, indicated to him that he was unable to issue the permit that was being sought because of the other violations that are against the property. We had a meeting in town hall last week. Building inspector, Mr. Williams, the town planner, Michael Rosaforte, just trying to look at pathways forward. My client is prepared to bring this property into compliance and do whatever he needs to with the town. I mean, one of the first things he said to me when I met with him is that he's willing to, tear out this dwelling. There's a weird little dwelling that's been constructed in this garage. And he's not planning on using that. He doesn't want it on the property. He wants to get that out of there. But before we can start moving forward and making the property more compliant, His biggest concern is his roof, because again, when he purchased the property, it had a tarp over top of it. He has since continued to replace that tarp, but he's just getting water in the house, and the concern obviously is that, this structure is going to continue to, deteriorate as the rain keeps going into the premises.
Quite a couple of real straightforward questions that I'm sure you guys have already kicked around. Doesn't have, or someone else owns the vacant lot that has a part of a garage on it, right?
That's correct.
That person is not willing to sell him that lot?
We approached that person. The number that was given to him was
not agreeable.
Yeah.
Okay.
And by the way, even purchasing a portion of that lot,
right?
If we were just we would have to purchase a little more than the garage,
right?
Obviously, so that we could work
10 more
around the
feet or
exterior of it and
something.
so forth. But that would not straighten out the nonconformity here,
I
because
understand.
you would still then have these lots that are, too small.
Right.
I think the illegal subdivision, and I haven't run a full title search on this, but I think the illegal subdivision may have even been created by the foreclosing bank if they had secured the mortgage against the structures there and left the vacant land there. But again, I don't want to speculate because without a title search, and I did not represent Mr. Callahan when he bought the property, so we're just getting involved now to try to get it squared away.
And the other thing is there someone, there's not somebody in his property, right, that's living in the garage or on that property, right, in a
Nowhere
camper or
on that
anything?
It's not habitable at the current time.
So that's the second part of this issue, is there is somebody who has pulled a camper onto the property many years ago.
Not our property.
On the adjacent lot,
Okay.
which the garage is on, not the house, but the garage.
Is it the way it looks in that picture? Is it?
I don't know
Is
that
the
it's-
camper parked in the driveway in front of the garage, or is it in a field somewhere to the side?
There's a camper in the field next to us.
Okay.
And
Because you pull it up on like Google Maps, it shows the camper right in line with the higher of the two garage doors, to the right of the garage.
Well, one of the issues that my client is having is this gentleman continues to park in his garage, which is on his property, in front of the garage.
Right, that's
which is on his property.
Right.
But the camper was off to the side of it,
Gotcha.
and this gentleman had actually tapped into our septic tank and was jumping out of the camper into our septic. And my understanding now is that the Putnam County Health Department has finally put a stop to that.
Great.
So where's he dumping?
That's the $1 million question right there, because it's.
Yeah.
But so.
Okay.
So let's stay on this issue.
Well, staying on this issue, we are going to circle back to the owner of that other property and see if that we can work something out that is reasonable. All right. My understanding is that he is currently, that gentleman, the next door neighbor, is also the subject of an enforcement proceeding here in the town of Patterson. And so we're hopeful that we can maybe solve two issues here at once, but he's got to get a lot more reasonable with his demands for that to happen. Maybe a little bit of enforcement will help him get a little bit more reasonable, just not sure at that point in time. But for now, our goal is just to get the residents secured so that we don't have the water pouring in there.
So Jamie, can you touch on the issue of the roof securing the house?
Yes, so within the town code, there is a provision that says that no building permit or CO will be issued if there's a unresolved and outstanding violation. But the roof issue seems to me that it's a clear unsafe building issue, which would be a violation under the code. So the one exception to that refusal to issue a building permit or CO is if it would cure the violation. So I believe that the building inspector can work with you to clear this unsafe building violation by issuing a building permit. I think that is the avenue in which to address this issue. And there'll be notation made in the file that this is in order to cure the unresolved issue of the unsafe building created by the roof.
So that takes care of your issue.
Well, and one of the other things that I was going to mention to the town board is if they would like to direct the building department not to close out that building permit, you know, if you were concerned that we were just doing this so that we could flip the house or do something else, you know, that would certainly be within your purview, but we just want to protect this investment and secure it if we can.
Okay.
The permit is only for the roof.
Yes.
Only for the roof.
Okay.
Yes.
And there's currently no one living in the home?
There's nobody living in the home. And what the, I mean, I don't want to go too far into the other issue with the garage, but again, my client's indicated he's willing to remove from that garage anything that makes it livable space.
Sure.
But also understand that there's a limit to what we can do on that, because we don't want the next door neighbor claiming now that we're trespassing on his property to do that portion that is on his property.
Wow.
So yeah, we're
7 feet.
Yeah.
How wide, how big is the garage? In other words, what does 7 feet represent? Is it 24 feet wide, or you don't know? Okay.
816.
Like a third, or?
Yeah, less than that. I'd say it's about maybe 20% of the garage, would you say? 30%?
16.
On his side.
It's a 22-foot wide.
Okay. So yeah, it's not a big portion of it.
Well, I'm sure the neighbors in the area will appreciate seeing it get, you know, rectified.
Yes, and also like, you know, what can you do about stamps?
Yeah.
This is a mess.
So that brings us to the next issue. I mean, we heard about this last fall when we had residents come in complaining about the generator he was running. Right?
Yes.
Here it is, months later, we're in court, and this thing is going nowhere. He's failing to show up. You know, he's missing court appearances. It gets dragged out month after month. Meanwhile, we've got a trailer that is not legal to be on the site, sitting there with no well, no septic. Putnam County Health Department is not doing anything to support, you know, getting rid of this trailer out there. And on top of it, I believe the gentleman thinks he has a valuable piece of property, not recognizing that, and again, I go back to the McGlasson decision, that because there's an illegal subdivision out there, he's voided his rights to build on that property, to do anything. So we have the same situation on North Street, where McGlasson, you know, subdivided a piece of property illegally and built a house on one piece of property, thereby voiding the rights on everything else. This gentleman, I don't know if he is, I don't think he's aware that he really has no rights to do anything with that property in the future at this point. So, you know, we can't just keep letting these things go on. And so I'm of the opinion that maybe we should take a stronger action, authorize the town attorney to go into Supreme Court, get an injunction, get the trailer off the site, give him 30 days to remove it, you know, and if he doesn't remove it, then the town will go over and remove it for him and dispose of it.
What about all this garbage? So, I mean, he has stoves, refrigerators, there is tons of things.
I can appreciate that. The first step.
Yeah, one is,
and a big one.
well, what I will just note for the board that the last 2 times that I was in your local court and this gentleman's case was called, he failed to appear. He was no-show.
Right.
I have a copy of that survey. Does anybody want to take a look at it, or are you?
They all have it in their packet.
Okay.
Counselor?
I agree. It seems this has been spinning for a while, and there seems to be some valid health and safety concerns to seek further action, if the board is so inclined.
Make a motion to authorize the town attorney to seek a preliminary or a temporary permanent injunction. Which one?
Well, a preliminary injunction.
Preliminary injunction to have the trailer removed from the site.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
And we don't need any action, just go see the building inspector, correct?
Yep.
Thank you for your
As
time.
soon as he
Thank
comes
you.
back, he's gonna be informed.
Can I do my roof?
You can do your roof, sir.
Please do the roof.
Thank you.
I mean, it's only a quarter-acre lot, even without all this mess. You can't build on a quarter-acre lot. You can't build on a three-quarter-acre lot
Well,
these days.
so it gets even more complicated than that, because he has acquired 2 adjacent pieces of property that were deemed unbuildable from God, I don't want to say this wrong,
He got
Sacred
sold.
Heart Church.
Oh, so he's starting to amass a chunk
So,
of property. that
yeah,
maybe
so he's
someday will be
got
buildable.
quite a bit of land there.
I
but
got you.
Both lots are joined by this one lot in the center, which has no development rights. Both
Gotcha.
lots are challenged wetlands.
Yeah.
And I understand that one of them may have some other legal issues with it.
So will this person who was just here have to remove the garage?
Can.
So either the garage has to be removed, or
Why can't he?
It's not, part of it's not on his property yet.
Well, you can remove
He can remove the rest of his hand, I guess.
Then maybe someone will decide to
Right to the
Yeah.
go there in the middle of the night and knock it over.
Yeah.
Who knows?
It's a mess.
Sorry.
all right,
Shouldn't get on the record.
Quaker Meadow Lane.
Another fun project.
So a couple of. Oh, we're gonna wait till she comes back in. So let's jump over Quaker Manor Lane and go to recreation requests. Mary?
Sure. At the town board meeting on 4/16, I don't know, there's a 28 there. I think that's a typo.
Back to the
Unless you
future.
just stepped into the future. Okay, at our 4/16 town board meeting, we approved through a non-bid procurement, some shirts for the rec center. The amount was approved at $1,100.83. They've had a large additional registrants coming in, which sounds great. Matt is requesting that we approve an additional $66.58 to cover the cost. So I'd like to make a motion to approve the $66.58 to Extreme Design. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Next, I'd like to make a motion for the rehire of a lifeguard for Mary Ellen Mozella at the lifeguard rate of $19.10 per hour. This is for both head and or junior guard shifts. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We have another rehire for lifeguards. I'd like to make a motion to approve Jonathan Timmel at the rate of $16.70 per hour when serving as a junior guard and $18.50 when serving as a head guard. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Let me see, we have another new hire for lifeguards. I'd like to make a motion to approve both these candidates, as Mr. Chabaro is severely understaffed. Cosette Timmel and Thomas Volpe. Each guard will be paid $16 per hour. Make a motion to approve this pending all employee paperwork, annual training, and proper certification before starting. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Now we have the pricing is out for the pre-K for the 25-26 school year. The following prices will be in effect for our 25-26 pre-K program: $400 per student, $385 per sibling per month. You can get a $200 savings by prepaying the $3,800 for the one student in full. All payment in full discount ends on July 1st, 2025. I'll make a motion to approve the pre-K pricing for 25-26. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, now we have another non-bid procurement request for 30 youth soccer program shirts with a design on the front. The low bidder this time is also Extreme Designs, and for the amount of $403. I'll make a motion to approve Extreme Designs in the amount of $403. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. I understand that we advertised for the fire inspector position. We received several applicants. I think that the supervisor has narrowed them down to a handful, and we'd like to set some preliminary dates, times for interviews.
Correct.
We'll start next week.
Whatever you want.
Tuesday, Wednesday. I'm good.
Calendar. You want to go
I'll
with
figure it out.
Wednesdays, since Wednesdays are,
I got other
seems to be
things
good
too.
days for us?
Other committees. Committee commitments.
That's
So
true.
pick one.
How about Tuesday? Tuesday
20th?
the
Tuesday, you
20th?
got Veterans Board?
Tuesday, I have veterans.
21st? Wednesday?
Sorry.
Monday?
I thought we were right. Didn't have to do this in
The 19th?
session. Monday the 19th is no good for me. Tuesday's no good. I guess the 21st or the 22nd is fine.
Okay. Yeah.
We'll just have
21st
to
at
change
6:30?
something for the other.
6:30 seems to be a good time.
Joe,
Sounds fine.
you're the weakest link at this point.
No, I can get to 6:30. Yeah.
How many do you want to do in one?
Let's do them all and get it over with.
Well, how many do you want to interview to start with?
5 maximum.
Let's narrow it down to top
3?
5.
I think 5.
45.
Yeah.
Why don't we start
I'm good
with
with
the
whatever
first
dates
three?
you want to do.
All
Start
right,
with the first
so
three.
why don't we do this? We're talking the 21st?
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. And we're talking 6:30, half an hour interviews?
Yep.
All right.
7 and
I
7.
sent you the resumes. If you could review the resumes again, send me your top 4 picks.
Okay.
All right? And then I'll reach out to them and try to get them scheduled.
Okay.
Fair enough?
Great.
Sounds good.
All right.
Awesome.
Joe, you want to do your items?
You want to do 26 Quaker? I'll go one.
No, go ahead. We'll finish it up. We'll do 26 Quaker at the end.
Okay. I have two resolutions regarding performance bonds. The first is a release of a performance bond for the Patterson Common Site Plan. Let's see, this is Bendenson Development Company owns the property. It's on Route 22, and let me see what we got here. The town, in 2024, the town board established a performance bond for Benderson Development. At that time, it was $19,426. On May 9th, the planning department certified that the site improvements for the project have been completed and the performance bond may be released. So the question to the town board is to release this bond in the amount of $19,426. Are there any questions or comments on it?
No.
Not as long as they've done the work.
No? Okay.
Let's give them their money back.
So then I move this resolution forward, and I ask that it be entered into the record as though read. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Perfect.
And then I have another. This time it's an establishment of a performance bond for the Fair Street Associates site plan. So we have Fair Street Enterprises Realty owns 11.31 acres at 763 Fair Street. Also, Boniello Land and Realty has presented a site plan to the planning board. Let's see, we have. So these two entities must establish a performance bond. It has been. So the performance bond has been established. Thank you very much. Planning board has revised a recommendation from the town engineer, and they suggest a performance bond of $91,622 be established. So the ask is that the town board establishes this performance bond. Any questions?
And
on
inspection
that?
fees.
Excuse me?
Inspection fees too, right? $33,800 in
Inspection fees.
Right, but it's included, the total amount here for the performance bond is $91,622, right?
They're a separate thing.
Two separate.
Yeah, they're all separate.
It's in addition to the $91,622.
Okay, so then I also ask that the town board establish a performance bond for the inspection fees, which are 5% of the,
Well, sure,
Right.
but the resolution takes care of all of that.
so then it is still just,
No. You're just getting, it's
Getting in the
91,622
weeds.
plus 33,800 inspection fees. It's all included in the reso, so just make a
Yeah,
motion
sure.
on the reso.
okay. So it's $92,622 and $33,800.
That's correct.
Okay, so we established that as a performance bond. Any questions on that?
Okay, so no. So what we're doing here is we're establishing a performance bond, and the performance bond amount is $91,622. And then based on the total cost of the project of $676,000, we are establishing an inspection fee, which covers the cost of our engineer going out
Right.
and doing
So
inspections.
that's 5% of the 676.
Correct, in the
Right.
amount of $33,800.
Perfect. And it's all in the reso.
Okay, so then, I move this resolution forward and ask that it be entered into the record as though read.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Let's take a step back to 26 Quaker Manor Lane. So, we received a recommendation from an architect. We talked about it a month ago. His opinion hasn't changed. My opinion hasn't changed. I don't know the town attorney's opinion has changed. My opinion is that I do not want the town to get involved in trying to secure a site because they keep going up there, breaking the coverings down, and you're constantly gonna have to be going up there and do it. I was just gonna go in and tear the building down and be done with it. The architect doesn't feel that it is of sufficient deterioration to do that. Don't think the town attorney was gonna support our tearing it down.
Well, our code requires that we get the essentially a second opinion of an architect or an inspector to come out. Perhaps the board wants to consider having a,
Third,
well, I was gonna say a building inspector from another municipality or a home inspector or a different party inspect the property. Because other than the architect, it seems that everyone has the same concerns about the property.
I think that's a good recommendation about getting a third opinion, otherwise we're gonna be stuck in the quagmire of constantly going up there, securing the building, and having to lead the cost. If you go, and I'm going there.
And of course, the concern is getting sued by someone somewhere down the line if you knock down a building that somebody put on record that is structurally sound. And that's obviously my concern. So I agree.
All right, then we'll do that, we'll get another opinion. All right, and based on what I heard tonight, I would like to add an executive session onto the agenda. We'll do that at the end of the meeting. Other business, anybody have any other business that was to bring up at this time? Go for it.
So we do have one resignation, unfortunately. Nancy Kubik sent in, she wanted to thank the board for the opportunity of serving on the Board of Assessment Review, but unfortunately due to personal circumstances, she does not any longer have the time. However, she does say it's been a valuable experience and wishes the board continued success. So I'll make a motion that we accept the resignation of Nancy Kubik on the BAAR. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Are we advertising for that as well, or for replacement? Do we have replacement?
No, we do not have a replacement. I was not going to advertise for it at this point. The AR is meeting in 2 weeks. It's not possible. I did search and try to find somebody in the few days that I knew about this. Could not find anybody to, fill the spot because they, at this point, they're not going to be trained, so they're not going to be able to sit anyway.
This is for me? Oh, sure. Okay.
All right, announcements.
There we go. Come to the market market and enjoy food, crafts, art, and more by our youth entrepreneurs. June 8th, 2025 at Tilly Foster Farm on 312 in Brewster, 12 p.m. to 4 p.m. This is a rain or shine event. So if you know a youth entrepreneur between the ages of 5 to 17 who has an amazing product that they would like to sell, scan the QR code to learn how to get how they can get involved. Now, is this on our, where can they get this? Everywhere? Okay, it's on our website. Sounds like a great event.
I didn't get it. Yeah, that'd be wonderful, thank you. The next is, as everyone knows, the 250th anniversary of the United States is coming up, and Larry Maxwell, who's the town historian,
Yes.
is wants everyone to understand that the Revolutionary War started this year. I mean, earlier than July 4th. So on June 5th, June 15th, 2025 at 1 p.m., you're going to come to celebrate the Revolutionary War and the birth of the U.S. Army 250th anniversary, 1775 to 2025.
Sunday, June 15th.
Yep, I said that Sunday, June 15th at 1 p.m. It's at the Firehouse. Co-sponsors for this are the Living History Guild, the Patterson Town Historian, the Patterson Fire Department, Putnam County Revolutionary War 250th, Hudson Valley Trust, Rain or Shine event. And there's a contact number on the bottom. Is that on our, somewhere?
Website?
The website? It will be. Sorry.
We got one more.
One more. Okay. Well, let's see. Come celebrate our town and honor those who serve. Patterson Day, June 8th, 2025. It's 10 a.m. Oh, continental breakfast. That sounds good. 10:30 a.m. is a special service honoring those who serve our town employees, committee members, elected officials, and first responders. A prayer of blessing and inspiring message. This is going to be at the Patterson Baptist Church on 311. Pastor is Larry Maxwell. So that's June 8th.
Anyone else? Anything? Public recognition. Any member of the public joining us tonight? Approach the mic, state your name.
George,
Encore. He's got an
encore.
encore.
Smile.
Yeah.
George Disbrow, Tammany Hall Road, Patterson Library Trustee. Some very exciting news. This Friday morning at 9:30, the library will be having a groundbreaking and ribbon cutting ceremony. I know the supervisor and the town board members have been invited. If you can make it, that would be fine. Work-related stuff, I understand you might not be able to. I'd just like to explain exactly what's going on. It will be very short. Here we go. We are adding 2 new reading nooks with comfy chairs and small tables that will increase our reading and tutoring spaces. We are installing new lower shelves for easier access to our books. We'll upgrade the heating and air conditioning system and the lighting, which will lower our utility costs and make us more environmentally friendly. Finally, we are replacing the old carpeting and giving it all a fresh coat of paint. The work will continue through the summer and be finished by the beginning of October. You may hear construction sounds and notice workers on premises, but our staff will do the best to minimize the noise. The best part is coming up now. All of this work is being made possible thanks to New York State construction grants, donations, and funds from our capital reserve. So we are not hitting up anybody for anything that, unnecessarily. Grants, donations, and capital fund reserves. We hope that you can make it. There will be some other dignitaries, lesser of course, from our county and state.
Are you going to be there? Are you going to be there, George?
I'm going to be there.
Then I'm
but I'll be in the background.
I'm going to be.
I'll be in the background. I'm not allowed to handle the scissors, sharp objects.
They didn't get your golden shovel?
I don't get a construction hat or a gold shovel, but you know, some of our Mid-Hudson Library people and Putnam County Library Association, I think Matt Slater is sending over a representative, Kevin Byrne also, and I know that some of you have responded. And it's a short ceremony, and maybe if you're lucky, you'll get a cup of coffee and a bagel. But we're very, very excited about
Do
the
we have to
beginning of
bring
this
anything?
project.
Do
Pardon
you
me?
want me to bring donuts or something?
No, you don't have to bring it. Mary, your presence would be enough. That would be fine. Thank you very much.
Thank you, George.
Thank you, George.
Thank you, George.
Anyone else? Scott?
It's always tough following George. Scott Seaman, Town of Southeast. I do not have donuts. Brewster Board of Education, we'll just remind anybody who is serviced by the Brewster school system, our vote is Tuesday the 20th from 6 in the morning till 9 o'clock at night. All the information is available on our website, promotion materials. We ask you to look at the budget and the Proposition 2, which is purely a transfer in between our two construction projects which are currently ongoing. We ask you to review that and come in and vote during the day. I also would like to point out, this is our second class, if they've gone through 4 years of college, this is our second class of COVID graduates that are reaching their graduation. So these are students that 4 years ago had a drive-through graduation due to COVID, and they were not able to have a regular school graduation, and now a number of these students, my daughter included, are graduating this month. So we ask you to keep them in mind and think, and we just let you know that, you know, our students have finally got their graduation. So we all ask you to think about them. As always, we thank you for your work and assistance, and if there's anything we can do, please let us know.
Thank you.
Scott, I'm sorry. Circling back to the Brewster, the football.
Yes, great organization.
Yeah, I wanted to ask, but I didn't want to put you on the spot. But aren't the fields expected to be completed by the opening of school?
The track field, which is currently under construction, is expected to be done by the end of July into August. Now, depending upon this weather, we never know where it's going to go. I saw them driving around on Mother's Day working on the field because they've had so much delay. There's also a field back by the gym, which is going to be torn up now because that's where the new sports structure is going to be installed once the budget is finalized. So that field will then be coming off this turf. So hopefully we do have enough ground set up for this, and I know there's alternate locations that Southeast has as well, but I think they're just looking for locations just in case. There's nothing worse than a bunch of kids showing up to a field and not having someplace for them to practice, and they got crazy football kids running around unattended. So we always got to make sure we have that. So of course we appreciate anything that the town up here will do to let this is their first year with the organization. I guess they're going similar in lines to Mayapack and some other towns that have taken it in-house for expansion purposes. So that's what we're looking for.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. Anyone else? We'll open it up to those joining us by Zoom tonight. Anybody on Zoom, if you have any comments or questions, if you would unmute, state your name and address for the record.
Motion to go into executive session.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you all for coming.